How's it going? I am back with a new film review, and we're going to be talking about the MCU again. And before I get into Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I just want to mention that my comic book, the trade paperback for Volume 1 of Red Knight, is going to be available soon. I'm finishing up sending out the Kickstarter rewards, and I'm going to do an official release date on manospublishing.com December 7th. So look out for that in case you didn't back me on Kickstarter. You can get it then. All right, let's get into the big biz here. Now, as of course you know, Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020 due to a fight with cancer, and it was a big shock to most people because this was kept under wraps. And that left the big question as what would become of the Black Panther series, because they had just started it. He had appeared in a whole bunch of Avengers films and Captain America films as well, but you know, they were just getting going. You know, they hadn't done the second film, and the question was, are we just not going to do another one and just respectfully out of for Boseman not do anymore, or recast? To keep the respect of the character and Boseman is well intact. And what they did, this is going to be a minor spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the film yet, I do want to tell you, I will be discussing things that happen in the movie. So if you want to go in totally cold, I recommend, I'll tell you this right now. I highly recommend it. I think it's great. The acting's great. The story is really engaging. It's a nice and emotional. The soundtrack is wonderful. And let's see. The direction is just absolutely amazing. Ryan Coogler did it again. So I'm going to highly recommend you go see it. Now, that's it. Ready? Okay, spoilers ahead. So what they do is they acknowledge it head on, and T'Challa passes away from an illness. They don't specify what. But even the super science of Wakanda is not able to save him. Matter of fact, Shuri is desperately trying to save him in the first scene of the film, and is not able to replicate the necessary means. And actually, you know, upon thinking about the film later, she is trying to recreate the plants that help create the Black Panther powers. So she's hoping maybe I can recreate that, the thing that Killmonger burned in the first film. Maybe, we can get a second chance, but she's not able to do it in time, and she blames herself for this. And she takes the burden heaviest emotionally than everybody else in the film. Let's see. The Queen, actually played by Angela Bassett, who, I gotta say, backed up the acting truck on this one. She's in about half of the film, and she owns every scene she's in. It's amazing. The opening scene, where we cut to a year later, and she is addressing, it doesn't look like the full United Nations, but a series of countries, of the most powerful ones. United States is there, France is there specifically, and it's intercut with a Wakandan laboratory on the outskirts of the country, maybe a little bit outside of the country, attacked, and it's taken out by the Adora Mage, and led by Okoye, and played by Danica Guerrera. And holy crap, what a great scene. And it just all comes together so beautifully, where she basically tells the entire world, this is not for you. This vibranium is our stuff that we have a responsibility to protect. You can't just have it to do whatever the hell you want with it, and you will not cross us. Amazing scene, fantastic. Then we cut to the ocean, where let's see, it seems like the United States has sent a bunch of soldiers and scientists because they feel like they've discovered vibranium on the ocean floor, and they are attacked by Namor and his forces. And when they first show up, it's a rather creepy image, because they're popping up at night from the ocean where no one should be around. But wow, what a scene. And of course, the first thought of the Americans is the Wakandans had to have done this. And the Americans are able to find this because they had a vibranium detector. And Namor wants to find out, like, who made this thing. And, of course, the Wakandans get a hold of this information and want to start looking up, like, okay, who made this thing? And this leads them to Riri Williams, who at MIT essentially, like, designed it, and that got kicked up without her knowing to like the government, and they started using it apparently without telling her and without paying her. So, but she has like a big target on her back because of this. So the Wakandans are trying to get her out, as well as the Americans are chasing the Wakandans, and of course we got Namor threatening to attack, because his idea is like, hey, like, the Americans, the whole world is coming for us, and we and the Wakandans need to work together, and if the Wakandans aren't going to work with us, well, then they're our enemies too. And okay, we're going to hit you first, then the rest of the world, because I know you're coming. And, you know, he has this wonderful backstory where we get to see that, and they changed Namor's a little bit, his nationality and his background, and it really does properly color the character and his worldview, and I think grounds it a little bit more than it would have if it was just generic comic book Atlantis and stuff like that. And they able to keep the whole, like, winged feet, and his performance is so strong. Oh my god, he has this wonderful quiet menace, which I gotta tell you, like, yeah, we all love, like, shrieking, crazy bad guys, blah, 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 like, you know, any kind of Joker. But, man, there's just something deeply scary about someone who knows they're intimidating and knows that you know that, and is not above, like, carrying through their threats. And there's a wonderful scene between him and the Queen, where, you know, he tells her, like, look, you know, I have your daughter, and if you start up against me, I'm going to go back and kill your daughter and then come back here and kill you. And he's, like, very nonchalantly telling her that, like, you know, this is just how it's going to be. Oh, wow, this is really... And anyway, that kind of starts this whole thing. There's some wonderful scenes. God, Okoye is just so great in this movie. It's definitely a boom to her and Guerrera, and how she is able to be, like, bumped up in the story. She has this wonderful scene in the Queen with the Queen, Angela Bassett, where she is informing her that on the mission to get Riri, not only did they lose Riri to Namor, they also she also lost Shuri, and that scene is so stunning, because it's one of those scenes where it's like, okay, you know, passing information, blah blah blah, but no, I mean, it sticks with us, because the threat, the idea that the Queen lost her son and now could lose her daughter, and also, you know, a big danger to the country. The emotions are high in this scene, and God, it's so stunning. There's this wonderful moment where the Queen, like, she strips Okoye of her rank. It just makes her a civilian again. And Okoye tells her, like, I have sacrificed everything for this country, for you, for Wakanda. And she stands up and says, oh, you sacrificed, okay? Well, where the fuck were you when Killmonger took over? You stuck by Killmonger. And it's one of those things where, like, yeah, she forgave, but she did not forget, and she held on to that anger until this moment. But of course, the I've heard people describe, like, there's no real protagonist for the first half of the movie, but I would disagree with that. It's definitely Shuri. We see the first person we see in this movie is Shuri, and it is her story all the way through. We have a lot of the Queen, but it is Shuri's film, and we get to see her journey of kind of, like, learning to forgive, learning to deal with anger, and, you know, mourning as well, and what to do with that with the rest of the world. And it's wonderful because, like, you know, we have she has the same, of course, path that Namor has. He is just filled with the same kind of anger and protection for his country, is willing to go too far for it. And is Shuri going to go too far for it? And what's the best choice? Is it just killing each other or finding a way? And man, this film really does dig into that. And there's a subplot with Agent Ross and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and the Americans aren't like a major factor in physical presence in this film. They kind of start things off and they peek in every so often, but it mainly serves as this kind of like reminder of the tension. Like, they're the reasons, they're the low-key bad guys in this film. They're the reasons Namor is going crazy like he's doing and causing all this problem with Wakanda, because both these countries are in fear of the Americans and the rest of the Western world attacking them. And as powerful as they are, can they hold off everybody? Can they hold off the rest of the world? And even if they do succeed, there would be massive casualties and kind of a destruction of the world. I mean, it would not be the same afterwards. So those scenes, I think, do a good job of reminding us the tension and the problem, because this was a wonderful scene where Dreyfus realizes that Ross has been lying to her and that he had been communicating with the Queen, which is not good if you're an agent of the American government. You can't tell the leader of another nation, even a friendly nation, secrets. And he tells her, like, the Wakandans saved me. They are good people, and it is good that they have this vibranium, and they are protectors of it. Can you imagine what we would do? What would we do? He throws it in her face, like, well, what would the Americans do if they had sole access to vibranium? And she has this kind of scary reaction to that, where she says, there is not a day that I don't dream about that. And that's one of the things I like about what Julia Louis-Dreyfus has done with this character is, yeah, she's quirky and funny and, you know, you like her, but, like, there's this underlying threat about what she's thinking about doing. And you're just waiting for that to pay off in, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 more movies. But, man, it is, like, really well done here. I gotta say, without really spoiling the end, I don't want to really dig into it. Maybe I've already alluded to it. But this film is wonderful. The acting, of course, everybody's really supercharged. I can't think of another superhero film to compare to besides The Crow with Brandon Lee, where he died during the filming, and that did affect the tone of the movie and the tone of the acting and tone of the directing and the way it was edited. I think that, of course, we lost Boseman before he shot any footage for this, but it is definitely a reaction to losing him and what we do from here on out. It definitely has that kind of energy, but it never forgets to be fun. There's a lot of cool sci-fi stuff happening, so it's not just like this morose, sad movie the whole time. But when it has to get emotional, it really does feel truly real. And Coogler does this really smart thing by letting the camera sit with the actors for a moment and not really do much. Not, the music doesn't swell up or anything like that, except for maybe one scene. And he doesn't overdo it, and he just lets the emotion sit with us and the actors do their acting. And wow, it's definitely great. I would put this easily at the top of Phase 4 for the MCU films, and I would have to do some thinking about it. I'm going to probably update my ranking for the MCU at large, but I objectively would put this in the top 10. Easy, maybe top 5. I'd have to think about that, where I would kind of put it. I'm still kind of mulling it over, but what a great movie. Highly recommended. I can't find any faults right now. I think if you're a fan of Black Panther or the MCU, I mean, what are you doing? You should go see that right now. And it's a one last kind of like tribute to Boseman, as well as kind of building the future of the Black Panther franchise. And Shuri, I think, is wonderful. And Teresa Wright, I got to hand it to her. She is given a lot to do in this movie. Like she's got to hold up the film and do a lot of emotional acting and comedy and sci-fi acting and action and stuff like that. She pulls it off. It's really great. Really, really impressed film. So, of course, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Ram Chips. And go see it. It's really kind of one of the best MCU films. So, hey, what did you, the viewers at home, think? Let me know in the comments below. You can click the notification bell. And for all things Manos, you can find me at several different locations on the internet. I'm at Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, I think Twitter at this point, maybe. But also you can support the channel and Manos Publishing just at $1 a month over at Patreon. And I'm occasionally on TikTok whenever I remember to do something. So, hey, I'm done. Push the button, Lindsay.